Da, 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 da. Greetings, fellow test subjects. Test subject 1337 here for Aperture Gaming. They make it. We test it. You play it. And now it's time to be blowing off some steam with a boss review. Now, before we get officially into this, I want a couple of things beforehand. First, the previous Aperture Gaming review that we did, Double Dragon Gaiden, Rise of the Dragons, that was just supposed to be a regular Aperture Gaming review, not a boss review. But the good news is that game is on Steam. It's on multiple platforms, but the review I did was for the Nintendo Switch, so apologies, that was not a boss review. So, yeah. Secondly, this boss review is more like a score follow-up. So it won't be a full review, it'll only be covering a few things. Why? Well, because on July 27th of this year, the game that we do not speak of, which we now have to, Lord of the Rings Gollum, released its first patch update, patch 2.2, and it had a whole slew of things they said that they fixed, which explains the 2 months. Now, so the game came out May 25th, and I said starting in June that for every month it took, there'd be a score deduction. But so even though it had a few days before the end of the month, I'm still going to count it as 2 months because it was July 27th, so literally over 2 months from when the game first came out. So that will be a factor. I said I can't give this a full score, and you'll see why as I go over this. Thirdly, so yeah, we'll have some other games coming up later on, which will hopefully do a lot better than this one. Also, now the studio is also, I'm afraid to say, is on track for running for worst studio of the year for this year, because shortly after this game came out, it was a horrible mess. The studio had about 30 people let go. It had about 90 people employed for the studio, and a third of them were let go, lost their job because of this game. The studio originally only just published games; they never developed it. But after this, they are going back to publishing and never developing a game ever again. And I just think it's a little weird how they got rid of a third of their staff and then decided to try to work on getting this game fixed. Wouldn't it have made more sense to keep them on staff to try to get the game fixed? I don't know. Yeah, so there's that. And speaking of companies doing things that don't make sense, by this point I'm sure everyone and their grandma knows about Ubisoft and their whole, if you don't have an active account, it's going to be locked out or closed out or deleted or whatever. Yeah. Ubisoft is also currently now in the running for worst studio of the year with that announcement. Well, anyway, so I fired up the game we don't speak of, Gollum. I was trying to see if I could play it before it updated, but no, it wouldn't let me do that. So here you're going to see what the new patch update looks like. And I'll be honest, I have not touched this game since I played it and did the review. So without further ado, here is Lord of the Rings Gollum, the updated recap of the game. Gameplay controls. So I'm starting now with gameplay controls because, well, here's what. If you want to know about this game, you can go back and watch the original review. And here you can see, starting from the start screen, Gollum ain't looking too good, more so than usual, still. Yeah, so the gameplay controls are still the same. I even went back a couple of sections just to replay what I started at, because I didn't want to, plow forward if this game still had problems. So yeah, the controls are still the same. You move Gollum around. He doesn't do direct combat. He's more for stealth and interaction with the environment around him. Graphics. The graphics. Okay, I think some areas of the graphics have improved, but there was one spot in the game that I think I noted about last time about the shadow on the floor looking like a flower. I went back to that area, and much to my unpleasant surprise, that detail was still there. So yeah, some areas of the landscape have improved, but not all of them. Also, if you look off in the distance, some areas, graphic-wise, don't look too good, and yeah, Golem and other characters also don't look good. So they may have done some repairs, but it don't look good. Audio. Audio is still kind of a problem, I think, for me. One area I was going through, and rocks are falling in around Golem, like for visual effect, but you don't hear the rocks falling. So, yeah, the game needs work in the sound department also.
Issues.
Alright, so I skipped a couple of things at the start and then a couple more to get to here. The issues. Yeah, pretty much, they may have. It took them 2 months to do a whole bunch of patch stuff where they said they fixed things, but it seems like the game still needs work. Now, I'm not sure. I mean, where they're hoping like, oh, we get this one big old patch done and that'll get everything fixed. I'm surprised we can get like a series of smaller patches over the course of 2 months, which may have helped the game in its favor. Yeah, this game, it still has issues and it needs more patches. And since I skipped DLC to get here, let's just say that they need to release a whole bunch of DLC for free. Not, and I don't just mean patch updates. I mean like they need to give us a whole bunch of free stuff. And if we did pay for the DLC, I think we should get a refund back or something. This is yeah.
Buy, rent, or pass.
At this point, I have to say the game is a pass. Not pass as in a successful passing score, but pass as in avoided at all costs. It's going to need a couple of patch updates before it's good. But yeah, and even by then it might just be in the realm of rental. Or wait until it is incredibly discounted, like maybe $10 or less.
Overall score.
Yeah. I think we all wanted this game to be good. I don't think anyone wants a game to be bad. I pointed out in my previous review of this. And of course, the problem being that of the 90 plus staff that worked on this, the company axed a third of it, so people lost their jobs because of this. That is very sad. So yeah, I think they spent 2 months working on a patch update, and unfortunately, the game still doesn't look up to snuff. Uh, yeah, so I rated the game a score of 7 because like I couldn't play it. In my mind, I couldn't keep playing it because it wasn't ready yet. I just wanted to give it a holding score until something happened, and something did happen. Yeah, so for the 2 months that it was getting the updates instead of just the series, I'm gonna lower the score by 2 points. That brings it down to 5. And the fact that even after the update, Golem still looks sketchy. I mean the game and the character. That loses another point. That brings it down to 4. So I am sorry to say that Aperture Games, we have to give the game Lord of the Rings Gollum a solid 4 out of 10. This is disappointing. I hate it when this happens. I mean, now there are games that I'm looking forward to, but I was looking forward to several games, but now I'm wary because I saw they announced another Lord of the Rings game after this one came out, and I was like, no, not being fooled again. And as I previously stated, I was so looking forward to Starfield, but now I'm worried about that. There's other titles that I have pre-ordered and stuff that I do have on my wish list slash watching to see how this will work out. But right now, I can't in full consciousness, I mean, I want to pre-order Starfield. I'm pretty sure I am going to pre-order Starfield, but now I am immensely worried that this thing is going to be a problem because I've seen that this is going to be their first new title IP property in 25 years after working on Fallout and other projects for so long. It's yeah, but I digress. So this game, I'm sorry to say, like I said, 4 stars, a 4 out of 10. Yeah, it's disappointing, but now you're in luck. The next boss review that I have lined up next, it was a game that I played and it was actually good, enjoyable, and the work to make it look good and play well was there. So hopefully, so I apologize for to be the bearer of bad news. This game, I'm afraid I cannot support. I will. I'll be hopefully playing it later on once it looks a little better. But no, I'm just at the point where I cannot endorse this. In fact, I don't think I never endorsed it at all. It was just a review. So yeah, 4 out of 10. Golem, your precious is made of the very cheapest of materials to make. So no. Well, folks, I apologize for this score update, and I thank you for listening to my rant and the news in the video game worlds. So, thank you very much for your time and your consideration, and be on the lookout for my upcoming review. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode, folks. Until next time, this has been Test Subject 1337 for Aperture Gaming saying thank you for watching, and as always, game on. Have a nice day.